The stars looked different from the bridge of the UES Harmony. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the main window, watching space bend and twist as his ship moved faster than light toward a meeting that would change everything. Behind him, his crew worked quietly at their stations. Everyone knew how important this day was. Jake had been a space captain for 20 years, but he had never carried such precious cargo before. In the ship's main cabin sat Ambassador Lisa Grant, Earth's best diplomat. She had spent 5 years preparing for this moment. Her briefcase held humanity's greatest offer to the galaxy. The ship dropped out of light speed near the Vega system. Ahead of them floated the biggest space station Jake had ever seen. Concordia was 10 miles long and 5 miles wide, built by 12 different alien races working together. Its metal surface gleamed with lights from 1,000 different windows. Ships from across the galaxy docked at its many ports. "Captain Morrison, we are being contacted by Station Control," said Lieutenant Barry Foster from the communications desk. "Put them through," Jake replied. A strange voice filled the bridge. It sounded like grinding metal mixed with music. "Human Vessel Harmony, you are cleared to dock at Port 7. Follow the guide lights. Do not deviate from the assigned path." Jake nodded to his pilot. "Take us in, Sam." Sam Peters had steady hands and sharp eyes. He guided the ship through the maze of alien vessels toward their assigned dock. Jake saw ships he had only heard about in reports. The Zephyrian destroyers looked like giant snakes made of black metal. Quellian traders sparkled like floating diamonds. Kytheran patrol ships moved like mechanical insects through space. The docking process took an hour. When it was complete, Ambassador Grant joined Jake on the bridge. She was a small woman with gray hair and kind eyes, but Jake knew she was tough as steel inside. She had negotiated peace treaties on Earth when different nations still fought each other. "How do I look, Captain?" she asked, smoothing down her dark blue diplomatic uniform. "Like someone who speaks for all of humanity," Jake replied. Grant smiled. "That's exactly what I am today." 2 security officers escorted Grant to the airlock. Jake watched her walk away, carrying the hopes of 8 billion people on Earth and millions more in the colonies. If this meeting went well, humanity would finally join the galactic community. If it went badly, Earth might remain alone among the stars forever. The station's interior was unlike anything Jake had imagined. The corridors were wide enough for creatures 3 times the size of humans. The air smelled of strange spices and unknown chemicals. Gravity felt slightly different, making each step feel bouncy and odd. Grant was met by a floating robot that spoke in perfect English. "Ambassador Grant, please follow me to Conference Room Alpha. The Council awaits your presentation." They traveled through moving walkways and elevator tubes that defied Earth physics. Jake had insisted on accompanying Grant as far as security would allow. He wanted to see the beings who would judge humanity's future. Conference Room Alpha was enormous. In the center sat a circular table with 12 different chairs, each designed for a different type of alien body. Some chairs were filled with water for the aquatic species. Others glowed with energy fields for beings made of living gas. The strangest chair looked like a crystal cave for the rock-like Quellians. The 12 species of the Galactic Council were more diverse than any Earth scientist had imagined. The Zephyrians looked like giant lizards walking on 2 legs with scales that changed color as they moved. The Nethrans were clouds of glowing gas contained in force fields, shifting and swirling constantly. The Vilarks had 6 arms and faces that looked almost human except for their bright purple skin. At the head of the table sat the Council's prime speaker, a creature called Zexithol. He belonged to the Kytheran race, looking like a giant mantis made of living metal. His 4 eyes glowed with red light as he watched Grant enter the room. "Human ambassador?" Zexthol's voice buzzed like 1,000 insects talking at once. "You may begin your presentation." Grant walked to the center of the room. She had practiced this speech 1,000 times, but her heart still beat fast. She pressed a button on her briefcase, and holographic images filled the air above the table. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began, "I come before you today not as a conqueror or a beggar, but as a friend. Humanity offers something that has never been offered before in galactic history: complete partnership. The first hologram showed Earth's cities, with their clean energy systems and advanced technology. In just 200 years, humanity has solved the problems of pollution, disease, and resource scarcity on our home world. We offer to share this knowledge freely with all council members. The next image displayed human space colonies, where millions of people lived and worked among the stars. We have learned to build homes in the vacuum of space, to grow food where nothing should live, to create beauty in the emptiest places. This too we offer to share. Grant's voice grew stronger as she continued. But we offer more than just technology. We offer human creativity, human determination, and human hope. We have a saying on Earth: a rising tide lifts all boats. We believe that when any species grows stronger, all species benefit. The hologram changed to show joint human-alien research stations, trade routes connecting distant worlds, and fleets of mixed species working together to explore unknown regions of space. Imagine what we could accomplish together. Imagine the diseases we could cure, the worlds we could terraform, the mysteries we could solve. For an hour, Grant presented humanity's vision of the future. She showed detailed plans for technology, sharing, cultural exchange programs, and mutual defense agreements. She offered to open Earth's universities to alien students and to send human scientists to learn from council worlds. The aliens listened in complete silence. Some took notes, on devices Jake couldn't understand. Others seemed to communicate with each other through flashing lights or changing colors. The Netherans swirled faster whenever Grant mentioned something that interested them. When Grant finished, she stood quietly in the center of the room, waiting for questions or comments. The silence stretched on for long minutes. Finally, Zexthul raised one of his metal arms. "The council will deliberate," he announced. "You will wait outside." Grant bowed respectfully and left the room. Jake met her in the corridor, where they sat on strange alien furniture and waited. Through the thick walls they could hear the buzzing, clicking, and humming sounds of 12 species discussing humanity's fate. After 2 hours, the doors opened again. Grant was called back inside. This time, all 12 species looked directly at her as she entered. Their expressions were impossible to read, but something felt different. The air in the room seemed colder. Zexthul stood up, his metal body reflecting the room's lights. When he spoke, his words cut through the silence like sharp knives. "Ambassador Grant of Earth, the Galactic Council has considered your proposal. We have examined your species, your history, and your capabilities. We have reached a unanimous decision." Grant held her breath. "Humanity is rejected." The words hit Grant like a physical blow. She had expected questions, negotiations, maybe some conditions to meet. She had never expected complete rejection. Zexthul continued, his voice showing no emotion. "Your species is too young to join this council. You have existed in space for barely 2 centuries. The youngest current member has traveled the stars for 50,000 years. A Zephyrian representative spoke next, his voice hissing like steam. "Your people still fight wars among themselves. Your planet shows scars of environmental destruction. You are not ready for the responsibilities of galactic citizenship. But we have overcome those problems," Grant protested. "We offer to share our solutions." "You offer chaos," said a crystal voice from the Quellian representative. "Your species changes too quickly, adapts too fast. You would disrupt the order that has kept peace in this galaxy for millennia." Zexthul raised his arm again, demanding silence. "The decision is final. Humanity will return to its home system and remain there. Any human vessel found beyond the Sol system will be destroyed without warning. This meeting is concluded." Thoitium. Dismissal was absolute. No negotiation, no appeals, no second chances. Guard robots appeared to escort Grant from the room. As they walked back through the station's corridors, Grant felt the weight of failure crushing down on her. She had carried the hopes of humanity across the galaxy, only to have them thrown back in her face. Jake met them at the airlock, taking one look at Grant's face and understanding everything. "Orders, Ambassador?" he asked quietly. "Take us home, Captain," Grant replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Take us home. The news of humanity's rejection spread across Earth within hours. In New York, London, Tokyo, and every major city, people gathered around public screens to watch Ambassador Grant's report. Her words were simple but painful. The galaxy did not want them. President Karen Walsh stood in the Oval Office looking out at the Rose Garden where her predecessors had made decisions that shaped human history. Today, she faced a choice that would determine humanity's future among the stars. What are our options? She asked the room full of advisors. General William Hayes, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, spoke first. We could ignore their warning, send ships anyway, show them we won't be bullied. And start a war we can't win, replied Secretary of State Nancy Cooper. They have 12 advanced civilizations. We have one planet and a few small colonies. Dr. Alex Chen, director of the Colonial Defense Initiative, had remained quiet during the debate. When the president looked at him, he finally spoke. There's a third option. We wait. We prepare. We make sure that when we meet them again, things will be different. President Walsh studied the young scientist. Chen was only 35, but his mind worked in ways that impressed even the most experienced military leaders. What do you have in mind, Doctor? Give me 15 years, Chen said. Keep our ships inside the solar system just like they demanded. But let me use that time to make sure we're ready for whatever comes next. The president made her decision that day. Publicly, Earth would comply with the Council's demands. No human ships would leave the solar system. Humanity would appear to accept their place as a single-world species, trapped in their own star system. But privately, everything changed. Dr. Chen's first project was hidden in a research facility, on the dark side of the moon. The sign on the door read, Advanced Computing Research, but inside teams of scientists worked on something far more ambitious. They called it the Neural Command Interface. The idea was simple but revolutionary. Instead of human pilots controlling machines through buttons and screens, the interface would connect human brains directly to computer systems. A single person could control multiple ships, weapons, and defense systems all at once, thinking at the speed of computers while maintaining human creativity and intuition. The first test subject was Lieutenant Commander Rachel Turner, a fighter pilot who had volunteered for the experimental program. She lay on a medical table while technicians attached thin wires to her skull. When they activated the system, Turner's consciousness expanded beyond her body. I can see everything, she whispered. Her eyes closed, but her mind connected to sensors throughout the facility. Every camera, every computer, every system. It's like having 1,000 eyes. The tests continued for months. Turner learned to control 6 different spacecraft simultaneously, each one responding to her thoughts as naturally as moving her own hands. When she imagined a ship turning left, it turned left. When she wanted weapons to fire, they fired. The reaction time was faster than any human pilot had ever achieved. But Chen's team discovered something unexpected. The interface didn't just make humans faster, it made them more creative. When connected to the system, human pilots came up with tactics and strategies that no computer program had ever considered. They thought in ways that alien minds, no matter how advanced, might never predict. Meanwhile, in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, another secret project was taking shape. Commander Steve Mitchell oversaw the construction of humanity's new fleet, hidden inside hollowed-out asteroids where no alien spy satellite could detect them. These were not the simple metal ships that humans had built before. Dr. Kevin Price, the lead engineer, had designed something entirely new. The ships were made of living metal, a substance that could repair itself, adapt to damage, and even evolve during combat. Think of it like a human body, Price explained to Mitchell as they watched the first prototype take shape. When you get hurt, your body heals itself. When you exercise, your muscles get stronger. These ships work the same way. The prototype ship, which they named Phoenix, was tested in combat simulations. Laser weapons that should have destroyed. It instead taught it how to resist laser fire. Missile impacts made its armor stronger. After each battle, the ship became more dangerous than before. But the real breakthrough came when Price solved the problem of faster-than-light travel. The aliens used a technology called quantum tunneling, which was fast but predictable. Human. Ships using alien-style drives would always arrive at locations that alien computers could calculate in advance. Price's new drive worked differently. It folded space through dimensions that alien science had never discovered. Ships using the new system could appear anywhere, anytime, without warning. They could travel paths that alien tracking systems couldn't follow. The first test flight was piloted by Captain Tony Rodriguez, one of Earth's most experienced space pilots. His ship vanished from sensors near Earth and reappeared near Pluto. In seconds, a journey that should have taken weeks even with alien technology. "It's like stepping through a door," Rodriguez reported. "One moment I'm here, the next I'm there. No time passes, no energy signature, nothing for enemy sensors to track." While the engineers built new ships and weapons, Commander Rachel Turner trained humanity's new generation of officers. Her academy was hidden in the moons of Saturn, far from Earth's busy orbital traffic. The students who arrived were the best pilots, strategists, and soldiers humanity had ever produced. But Turner's training was unlike anything Earth's military had ever attempted. Instead of following standard procedures and established tactics, her students learned to improvise, adapt, and think creatively under pressure. "Forget everything you know about space combat," Turner told each new class. "The aliens have been fighting the same way for thousands of years. They have rules, procedures, and standard responses to every situation. We're going to teach you to break those rules." Her students learned to use asteroid fields as weapons, turning space rocks into high-speed missiles. They practiced hit-and-run tactics that would confuse alien tracking systems. They studied ways to make their ships look like harmless cargo vessels until the moment they opened fire. Most importantly, Turner taught them to think like humans, not like machines. "Computers can calculate the most efficient solution to any problem," she explained. "But humans can find solutions that computers never consider. That's our advantage." The years passed quietly. To outside observers, humanity had accepted their rejection and retreated to their home system. Earth's leaders made no public statements about galactic politics. Human ships stayed within the boundaries the Council had set. But beneath the surface, everything was changing. Earth's industries, guided by secret government contracts, developed new materials and technologies. Universities trained thousands of scientists and engineers in fields that seemed purely theoretical, but had very practical applications. Dr. Chen's research expanded beyond the neural command interface. His teams developed new weapons, new defenses, and new strategies. They studied every piece of information Earth had gathered about the 12 Council species, looking for weaknesses and blind spots. "We're not preparing for war," Chen explained to President Walsh during one of their secret meetings. "We're preparing to win a war, if one becomes necessary." The president, now in her second term, had aged considerably during the quiet years. The weight of keeping humanity's greatest secret had taken its toll. "Do you really think we can defeat 12 advanced civilizations?" Chen's answer was confident. "I think we can defeat anyone who underestimates us. And after 15 years of ignoring us, that's exactly what they've done." By 2402, humanity's secret preparations were complete. The asteroid belt contained a fleet of ships unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Earth's universities had trained a generation of officers who thought in ways no alien strategist could predict. The planet's industries could produce weapons and supplies faster than any Council world. Most importantly, humanity had developed something the aliens lacked: the hunger of the rejected. For 15 years, Earth's people had lived with the knowledge that they were considered unworthy of galactic citizenship. That rejection had hardened into determination. The galaxy had demanded that humanity stay home. They had obeyed, but they had used their time well. When the moment came to leave the solar system again, they would not be the same species that had once begged for acceptance. They would be something much more dangerous. Captain Tony Rodriguez had been mining asteroids for 12 years, and he thought he knew every danger space could throw at him. The UES Pioneer was a tough ship, built to survive the harsh conditions of the outer solar system. Her crew of 17 were all experienced space workers who had spent their lives digging valuable metals from floating rocks. On March 15, 2402, everything went wrong. The Pioneer was working near Neptune, harvesting rare minerals from a cluster of asteroids that had drifted in from the deep space beyond Pluto. Engineer Maria Santos was running her usual checks on the ship's fold drive when she noticed something strange on her instruments. "Captain, we have a problem," she called from the engine room. "The fold drive is showing readings I've never seen before." Rodriguez left his position on the bridge and hurried to the engine room. Santos was staring at her control panel with a worried expression. The numbers on her screen were jumping around wildly, and warning lights flashed red all over the engine compartment. "What's causing this?" Rodriguez asked. "I don't know," Santos replied. "The drive was working fine an hour ago. Now it's like something is pulling at the space around us." Rodriguez had heard about this kind of problem before. Sometimes the fold drives that allowed ships to travel faster than light could be affected by strange gravitational fields or unknown energy sources. Usually the solution was to shut down the drive and restart it after moving to a safer location. "Shut it down," he ordered. Santos tried, but the drive wouldn't respond to her commands. "It's not listening, Captain. The drive is building up energy on its own." That was when Rodriguez knew they were in serious trouble. A fold drive that couldn't be controlled was like a bomb waiting to explode. In the best case, it would throw the ship somewhere random in space. In the worst case, it would tear the ship apart. "All hands, prepare for emergency fold," Rodriguez announced over the ship's communication system. "Strap yourselves in. This is going to be rough." The crew had practiced this procedure many times, but they had never faced a real emergency fold. Everyone found the nearest safety harness and secured themselves as tightly as possible. In the engine room, Santos watched helplessly as the fold drive's energy reached dangerous levels. "Fold in 10 seconds, she called out. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The universe twisted around them. Reality bent and stretched like rubber being pulled in all directions. The Pioneer disappeared from normal space and entered the strange realm between dimensions where faster-than-light travel was possible. But something was wrong. Instead of the smooth journey they expected, the ship tumbled wildly through folded space. Systems failed all around them. The lights went out, then came back on, then went out again. The artificial gravity stopped working, leaving the crew floating in their safety harnesses. After what felt like hours but was probably only minutes, the Pioneer dropped back into normal space. Rodriguez unbuckled himself and floated to the nearest window. What he saw made his heart sink. The stars were wrong. The familiar constellations that had guided human navigation for centuries were nowhere to be seen. Instead of the bright disk of the sun, a strange red star glowed in the distance. They were no longer in the solar system. "Santos, damage report," Rodriguez called. The engineer was already checking her instruments. "Life support is failing, Captain. We took heavy damage during the fold. I can keep the air breathable for maybe 6 hours, but the engines are completely dead." Rodriguez moved to the communications station and began broadcasting on all frequencies. "This is Captain Tony Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Pioneer. We are experiencing critical system failures and request immediate assistance. Our position is unknown. We have 17 crew members aboard and limited life support." He repeated the message in the 3 alien languages that Earth had learned during their diplomatic contact 15 years earlier. If any council ships were in the area, they would understand his request for help. For 2 hours, Rodriguez broadcast his distress call. The crew worked desperately to repair their damaged systems, but the fold drive explosion had destroyed many critical components. They were slowly running out of breathable air, and their radio signals were getting weaker as the ship's power died. Finally, a response came. "Human vessel, this is Commander Esektal of the Zephyrian Patrol Fleet. You are in violation of Council space. Explain your presence immediately." Rodriguez felt a mixture of relief and fear. Relief because someone had heard their call for help. Fear because the Zephyrians were known to be the most aggressive of the Council species. "Commander Esektal, this is an emergency situation. Our fold drive malfunctioned during a mining operation near Neptune. We are not here by choice. Our ship is dying and we need immediate assistance. There was a long pause before the alien responded. Human vessel, scan your area. You will see our ships approaching. Rodriguez looked at his sensor screen. 3 large vessels were moving toward the Pioneer from different directions. They were sleek and dangerous looking, clearly military ships designed for combat rather than rescue. Commander, we surrender ourselves to your authority, Rodriguez said, following the emergency protocols Earth had established for contact with Council forces. We request humanitarian assistance for our crew. Understood, human vessel. Prepare to be boarded. But the Zephyrian ships didn't slow down as they approached. Instead, they moved into attack formation around the helpless Pioneer. Rodriguez watched in growing horror as weapon ports opened on all 3 alien vessels. Commander Escatal, please confirm your intentions, Rodriguez called desperately. We are a disabled civilian vessel with no weapons. We pose no threat to you or your people. The response was cold and final. Council law is clear. No human vessel may exist beyond the Sol system. The penalty is immediate destruction. But we're not here by choice, Rodriguez pleaded. This was an accident. We're dying. Please, we have 17 people aboard. The law makes no exceptions, Skatal replied. Prepare to face justice. The first energy beam struck the Pioneer's hull, tearing through the weakened metal like paper. Emergency alarms screamed throughout the ship as atmosphere began leaking into space. Rodriguez felt the ship shudder under the impact. Please, he broadcast on all frequencies, hoping that someone, somewhere, might hear and remember that 17 humans had died, begging for mercy. We have families. We have children. We came in peace. The second beam hit the ship's reactor. The Pioneer's power died completely, leaving the crew in darkness except for the glow of the alien ship's weapons charging for their final shots. Maria Santos floated beside Rodriguez in the dying ship's control room. Captain, should we send a message to Earth? Rodriguez nodded and activated the ship's emergency beacon, a device designed to broadcast a ship's final moments back to human space. If they were going to die, at least Earth would know what happened to them. This is Captain Tony Rodriguez of the UES Pioneer, he said into the recorder. We are under attack by Zephyrian forces after requesting humanitarian aid. Our ship was disabled by an accidental fold drive malfunction. We pose no threat to anyone. We die as we lived, as citizens of Earth and representatives of the human race. Tell our families we love them. The third energy beam pierced the Pioneer's hull directly. The ship broke apart in seconds, its crew scattered into the cold vacuum of space. 17 human lives ended in silence, their final transmissions carrying their plea for mercy across the galaxy. Commander Escatal watched the debris field that had once been a human ship. His duty was complete. The law had been enforced. No human vessel would be allowed to exist beyond the Sol system, but deep in space, automated monitoring stations that Earth had secretly placed throughout the galaxy recorded everything. The Pioneer's final transmission, the crew's desperate pleas for help, and the cold execution of 17 innocent people were all captured and immediately transmitted back to Earth. Within hours, every human colony had seen the footage. They saw images spread across Earth's communication networks like wildfire. People gathered in homes, offices, and public squares to watch their fellow humans die while begging for mercy. President Walsh received the news in her office at 3 in the morning. She sat in silence for a long time, watching the recorded execution of Captain Rodriguez and his crew. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady but cold. "Get me Dr. Chen and Admiral Parker," she said to her aide. "Tell them we're calling an emergency session of the Colonial Council. And contact Ambassador Grant. After 15 years, it's time for humanity to leave the solar system again. The age of quiet preparation was over." The emergency session of Earth's Colonial Council lasted only 2 hours. President Walsh stood before the assembled representatives of every human colony in the solar system. The video of the Pioneer's destruction played on screens throughout the chamber. 17 innocent people murdered while begging for mercy. The vote was unanimous. Operation Righteous Fury would begin immediately. Admiral Ben Parker had waited 15 years for this moment. In his command center hidden beneath the surface of Ceres, he watched as humanity's secret fleet came alive. 50 ships that had never appeared on any official record powered up their engines and prepared for war. These were not the simple vessels that aliens expected humans to fly. Each ship was a masterpiece of hidden technology, built with living metal that could repair itself and adapt to enemy weapons. Their crews were connected to the ships through neural interfaces, allowing them to think and react faster than any alien pilot. "All ships, this is Admiral Parker," he broadcast to his fleet. "For 15 years we offered the galaxy our friendship. They spat in our faces. Today we teach them the price of rejecting peace." The first target was the Zephyrian home system, where Commander Skatal and his patrol fleet had returned after murdering the Pioneer crew. Captain Steve Mitchell commanded the UES Retribution, leading a strike force of 12 ships toward the system where 17 humans had died. Mitchell's crew was connected to their ship through the neural command interface. As they approached the Zephyrian system, Mitchell could feel the ship's sensors as if they were his own eyes. He could control the weapon systems with a thought and maneuver the ship as naturally as walking. "Enemy fleet detected," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Dan Brooks. 24 Zephyrian destroyers moving to intercept us." Through his neural link, Mitchell could see the alien ships. They moved in perfect formation, following attack patterns that had been used for thousands of years. The Zephyrians were confident in their superior numbers and advanced technology. They had no idea what they were facing. "All ships, activate quantum stealth," Mitchell ordered. The human fleet vanished from alien sensors. The stealth technology that Dr. Chen's team had developed made the ships invisible to every type of detection system the Council used. To the Zephyrians, 12 enemy vessels had simply disappeared. The alien commander tried to maintain formation, but his ships were now firing at empty space. Meanwhile, the human fleet moved through the enemy formation like ghosts, striking without warning and vanishing before return fire could find them. Mitchell selected his target, the flagship of the Zephyrian fleet. Through his neural interface, he could control 6 different weapon systems simultaneously. Plasma cannons fired in perfect coordination, while missile launchers sent adaptive warheads toward the enemy ship. The Zephyrian flagship's shields flared and died under the assault. Its hull, designed to resist conventional weapons, cracked and split as human adaptive technology found weaknesses the aliens had never considered. The ship broke apart in seconds, its crew scattered into space just like the Pioneers had been. "That's for Captain Rodriguez," Mitchell said quietly, but the human attack was far from over. While Mitchell's fleet engaged the Zephyrian home defense, similar strikes were happening across the galaxy. Admiral Parker had planned the operation perfectly. 50 human ships had appeared simultaneously in 12 different star systems, targeting the military bases and command centers of every Council species. In the Quellian crystal worlds, Captain Julie Adams led an assault that would have been impossible with conventional weapons. The Quellians were beings made of living crystal, and their cities were grown rather than built. Their defenses were designed to resist energy weapons and explosive attacks. But Dr. Chen's scientists had studied the Quellian crystal structure for years. They had developed resonance cannons that could shatter crystalline formations by vibrating them at specific frequencies. What had taken the Quellians millions of years to grow was destroyed in minutes. The UES Vengeance moved through the Quellian system like a song of destruction. Every shot from its resonance cannons turned crystal cities into dust. The aliens tried to fight back, but their weapons were designed for creatures with similar technology. They had no defense against human creativity. "Beautiful and terrible," Adams said as she watched a crystal moon crack and crumble under her ship's attack. "They wanted to keep us out of their perfect galaxy. Now they learn what happens when you corner a predator." The Catharan system faced a different kind of nightmare. The insectoid aliens had built their defenses around swarm tactics, using thousands of small ships to overwhelm enemy forces. Their bioships could adapt and evolve during combat, growing new weapons and defenses as needed. But Captain Dan Brooks had a ship that could evolve faster. The UES Phoenix was built with the most advanced living metal technology Earth had developed. Every time the Catharan bioships hit it with new weapons, the Phoenix learned to resist them. Every adaptation the aliens made, the human ship countered with something better. "They want to play evolution games?" Brooks said as his ship absorbed another wave of bioweapon attacks. "Let's see who's better at survival of the fittest." The Phoenix began to change, its hull rippling and flowing like liquid metal. Weapon ports opened in new configurations. Shield generators moved to better positions. The ship became something new with every passing moment, always one step ahead of the alien adaptations. Soon the Catharan swarm found itself facing a predator that out-evolved them at every turn. Their bioships, programmed to adapt and survive, began to retreat in confusion. They had never encountered anything that could change faster than they could. Across the galaxy, the pattern repeated itself. Human ships appeared without warning, struck with weapons the aliens had never seen, and vanished before effective countermeasures could be deployed. The Council's vast fleets, designed to maintain order through overwhelming force, found themselves fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules of conventional warfare. The neural interfaces that connected human crews to their ships allowed for tactics that no alien computer could predict. When Nethran gas ships tried to envelope human vessels, the human pilots folded through micro-dimensions, appearing inside the gas clouds and striking from within. When Vylark energy beings attempted to drain human ship power, the living metal, hulls adapted to feed off the alien energy instead. Most shocking of all was humanity's approach to casualties. The Council species had fought their wars for millennia, using established rules and conventions. Battles were fought until one side achieved clear superiority. Then surrender negotiations would begin. Civilian targets were avoided, and prisoners were treated according to ancient galactic law. Humans ignored all of these conventions. They murdered civilians, Admiral Parker explained to his fleet commanders during a brief tactical meeting. They killed 17 people who were begging for help. From this moment forward, any Council military facility is a legitimate target. Any ship that fires on human vessels will be destroyed completely. No prisoners, no mercy, no surrender until they learn the price of their choice. The psychological effect was devastating. Council military commanders had trained for centuries to fight according to established rules. When humans began attacking supply depots, communication stations, and even military training facilities, the aliens found themselves fighting an enemy that seemed to have no limits. Commander Escatal, the Zephyrian who had ordered the Pioneers' destruction, found himself trapped in his home system as human ships hunted his fleet. His radio calls for reinforcement went unanswered because human ships had destroyed the relay stations. His supply lines were cut because human raiders had eliminated the logistics bases. "How many ships do the humans have?" he demanded of his intelligence officers. "Unknown, Commander. They appear and disappear at will. Our sensors cannot track them reliably." "What about their casualties? How many ships have we destroyed?" "None confirmed, sir. Human vessels seem to be able to repair damage faster than we can inflict it." Skatal stared at his tactical display in growing horror. In 3 days of fighting, his fleet had been reduced from 24 ships to 8. The humans had struck, at will, destroyed what they chose, and vanished without taking any confirmed losses. For the first time in his military career, the proud Zephyrian commander felt something he had never experienced before: fear. Not fear of death, which was an honorable end for a warrior, but fear of an enemy that fought by no rules he understood. The galaxy was learning a hard lesson. Humanity had offered peace and been rejected. Now they offered war, and there would be no rejecting this gift. 6 months after the first human ships had struck without warning, the galaxy was a very different place. The mighty Galactic Council, which had ruled space for thousands of years, was broken. Their fleets were scattered, their supply lines destroyed, their confidence shattered. The final blow came when Captain Lisa Wright led the assault on Concordia Station, the same massive facility where humanity had once begged for acceptance. Wright commanded the UES Justice, one of the most advanced ships in the human fleet. Her mission was simple: capture the station and force the Council to surrender. Concordia still looked impressive from the outside. 10 miles long and 5 miles wide, it floated in space like a metal city among the stars. But Wright could see the damage from previous human attacks. Whole sections of the station were dark, their power systems destroyed. Debris fields surrounded the structure where Council defense ships had been torn apart. "Scan for life signs," Wright ordered her tactical officer. "Detecting approximately 50,000 beings aboard the station, Captain. Most appear to be civilians and administrative personnel, very few military signatures." Wright nodded. The Council's military forces had learned to avoid direct confrontation with human ships. After losing dozens of battles, alien commanders had stopped trying to protect their bases and had instead focused on evacuating their people to safer locations. "Open a communication channel to the station," Wright commanded. The response came, quickly. It was Zexthal, the same Kitharan who had rejected humanity's offer of peace 15 years earlier. His voice still buzzed like 1,000 insects, but Wright could hear the fear beneath his words. "Human ship, this is Prime Speaker, Zexthal of the Galactic Council. State your intentions." "Prime Speaker, this is Captain Wright of the Earth vessel, Justice. I am here to accept your surrender and discuss terms for ending this conflict." There was a long pause before Zexthal responded. "We do not surrender to primitive species. The Council has ruled this galaxy for 10,000 years. Wright almost laughed. Even now, facing total defeat, the aliens still believed they were superior to humanity. "Prime Speaker, look around you. Your fleets are destroyed. Your worlds are defenseless. Your people are fleeing to the edges of the galaxy. You can surrender now with dignity, or I can take this station by force, and you can surrender later without it." Through her neural interface, Wright could see the station's defenses powering up. Ancient weapon systems, probably not used in centuries, began targeting her ship. The aliens were going to make one last stand. "So be it," Wright said quietly. "All boarding teams prepare for assault." The UES Justice moved toward Concordia Station like a predator approaching wounded prey. The station's weapons fired desperately, energy beams and missile salvos trying to stop the approaching human ship. But Wright's vessel had living metal, armor that adapted to each attack, growing stronger with every hit. Human boarding pods launched from the Justice, small ships designed to carry assault teams directly into enemy vessels. Each pod was piloted by officers connected to their craft through neural interfaces, allowing them to navigate through the station's defenses with impossible precision. Lieutenant Commander Frank Hayes led the first boarding team through Concordia's outer hull. His soldiers wore advanced power armor that enhanced their strength and speed, while protecting them from the station's artificial atmosphere. Each suit was connected to a tactical network that allowed the team to coordinate their movements perfectly. The corridors of Concordia were chaos. Alien civilians ran in panic while security forces tried to organize a defense. But the station had been designed for diplomatic meetings, not military battles. Its security systems were meant to handle individual criminals, not trained human soldiers equipped with weapons that could tear through any barrier. Hayes's team moved through the station like shadows, their adaptive camouflage making them nearly invisible to alien sensors. They avoided civilian areas and focused on reaching the main control center where the Council leadership was hiding. The few alien security forces they encountered were overwhelmed quickly. The station's guards carried weapons designed for traditional combat, but human power armor could absorb their energy blasts, while the soldiers inside returned fire with adaptive plasma rifles that adjusted their output for maximum effectiveness. Against each target, control room secured, Hayes reported to Captain Wright. Council leadership is trapped in the central conference chamber. No casualties among our forces. Wright smiled grimly. The same chamber where humanity had been rejected was now the site of the Council's last stand. There was a certain justice in that. "Patch me through to the conference chamber," she ordered. The main screen on the Justice's bridge showed the interior of Concordia's council chamber. 12 alien species huddled around their ancient meeting table, the same beings who had once looked down on humanity with such contempt. Now they looked terrified. Zexthal stood at the center of the group, trying to maintain his dignity even in defeat. "What do you want, human?" "What we always wanted," Wright replied. to join the galactic community. But since you rejected our friendship, you'll accept our leadership instead." The alien leaders looked at each other in confusion. They had expected humans to demand revenge, to destroy their worlds and enslave their people. The idea that Earth still wanted peaceful coexistence was beyond their understanding. "You would spare us?" asked a Quellian representative, her crystal body flickering with nervous light. "We're not monsters," Wright said. "We never were. You chose to see us as dangerous because we were different, because we changed and adapted faster than you were comfortable with. But we offered you peace once, and we're offering it again." President Walsh appeared on the screen beside Wright. She had aged considerably during the war, but her voice was still strong and clear. "The Galactic Council is dissolved as of today. In its place, we establish the Galactic Federation, with Earth as the primary member. All species are welcome to join as equals." The terms were simple but revolutionary. No single species would rule over others. Trade routes would be open to everyone. Technology would be shared freely among all member worlds. Most importantly, no civilization would ever again be denied the right to travel among the stars. "And if we refuse?" Zexthul asked. Admiral Parker's face appeared on another screen. His expression was cold and unforgiving. "Then you can try to survive on your own. But remember what happened to your fleets when you thought you were stronger than us. The galaxy is a dangerous place for species that choose to remain isolated." The council leaders had no choice but to agree. One by one, each species formally surrendered and requested membership in the new federation. The Zephyrians, who had murdered the pioneer crew, were the last to surrender. Commander Skatal himself appeared on screen, his pride broken by months of defeat. "We submit to human authority," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Wright felt no satisfaction in his surrender. Too many people had died for her to feel victorious. "Your species will be given the same rights and protections as any other Federation member. But the officers responsible for murdering the pioneer crew will face trial for their crimes." Within a year, the new Galactic Federation was functioning smoothly. Human administrators worked alongside alien officials to establish fair trade agreements, research partnerships, and defense protocols. The technology sharing that Earth had originally offered was finally happening, but now it flowed both ways. Dr. Chen, now Director of Federation Research, oversaw joint projects that combined human creativity with alien knowledge. The results were miraculous. Cures for diseases that had plagued the galaxy for millennia, terraforming techniques that could transform dead worlds into gardens, and exploration technologies that opened new regions of space. But the victory came with a cost that haunted Earth's leaders. Ambassador Lisa Grant, who had once offered peace with hope and optimism, now served as Federation Secretary of State. Her office overlooked the memorial to the pioneer crew, 17 names carved in black stone. "We got what we wanted," she said during a private meeting with President Walsh. "We're part of the galactic community, but look what we had to become to achieve it." President Walsh stood beside her at the window, looking out at the bustling spaceport where human and alien ships shared the same docking facilities. "We offered them our hand in friendship. When they bloodied it, we showed them our fist. Perhaps they needed to learn that lesson." Admiral Parker, now Supreme Commander of Federation forces, disagreed. "We didn't just teach them a lesson. We changed who we are. We're not the peaceful species that first reached out to the stars. We're something harder now, more dangerous." The galaxy had learned to respect humanity, but it was a respect born of fear rather than admiration. Earth's children now patrolled the space lanes not as explorers seeking knowledge, but as enforcers maintaining order through strength. In the end, humanity had achieved everything they had dreamed of when they first left their homeworld. They had their place among the stars, their voice in galactic affairs, their chance to shape the future of civilization itself. But they had paid for it with their innocence. The species that had once extended peace to the galaxy would never again approach the universe with such trust.